And welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We have our usual group. As always, we got Xavier Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardo Dudley Jr. We have a special guest tonight. But again, it's a season 7, episode 25 with our special guest, Coach Ricky Harris, head coach of the New World Hoop Group Showcase League 17U team. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Nice to be able to be on you guys' platform. It's an honor.
Look, man, we're gonna get into quite a bit tonight. Looking forward to everybody's questions, and especially in your profession right now, these days and times, it should be interesting to see what. It's always interesting to see what it's like for a coach, because y'all be going through it on each and every level, a lot, all the time.
Yeah.
So, sir, as I do every coach and every person that works with the youth, I salute you for doing so. Because everyone, I know I do not have the patience to do it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Cardell, you want the first question?
Yeah, man, I got to go ahead and get things started off. Coach Rick, man, just talk about your journey. Who introduced you to the game? What made you fall in love with the game and want to pursue
it? I guess I'll start. Growing up, I'm a military brat, so I actually grew up overseas for the most part until I came to the States in like the 3rd grade. So before I picked up a basketball, I was actually a soccer guy. I loved soccer and I loved playing swimming. I used to swim. I actually got first place one time in the backstroke, but neither here nor there. Born in Guam, moved to Italy, moved to Spain, and then from Spain we came to the States. Once I got to the States, that was one of the first times I actually picked up a basketball. So it was around, I think I'll say like the 3rd grade. And once I picked it up, that was it. I never put it down. I would go to the local neighborhood courts. There's a kid by the name Tony Miller. I remember him and his mom. His mom had this knee brace. They would run everybody off the court. So I would be pretty much angry, but it kept motivating me to bring my behind back. And long story short, that was the beginning in Virginia. From Virginia, I moved to Maryland. I thought I played pretty good basketball at the time. And then when I moved to Maryland, it was a whole nother animal, like just a whole nother animal. It went from, just basic basketball, playing against people, just trying to compete, to now I'm playing against a whole bunch of kids who talk trash, and the style of play is different. The hands up, that's the first time I got introduced to the hands up. So that was I came here at the end of my 7th grade, going into the 8th grade, so the 7th grade summer. Going into the 8th, that's when I got introduced to everything, and definitely shocked me. It definitely shocked me. But again, the competitive nature in me kept fighting, kept trying to learn the game, and eventually, I became actually good at it at a certain point. So that's kind of like my upbringing. And then I didn't realize at the time that my uncle, his name is Rufus Harris, he actually played ball at a high level. He actually got drafted to the Boston Celtics. I didn't know at the time, but, he played. So then eventually, my dad put me in contact with him. I got to stay up there, and that's when I really, really learned the game of basketball. Everything kind of changed, the way I viewed the sport and how things went. Everything changed. 1 second. Just go cut it off. Yeah, go cut it off.
I put it on low.
Okay, just cut it off. Just twist it off. How do you do that? Sorry, I got 4 kids. That's a whole nother thing we can dive into. Amani, you got to go right now.
But how do you turn it on? I don't know how to turn it on.
Okay, go tell mommy.
I was about to say, the chicken.
Go. I'm sorry. That's my oldest daughter. Pray for me. One of 4. Yeah. So he kind of pretty much taught me the game, that, the game inside the game, understanding how to move and stuff like that. So I spent a nice summer in Boston learning a lot. And then from there, man, I think I matured. I was able to make my high school team. Started off on JV my freshman year. 4 games into my sophomore year, I moved up to varsity. Started on varsity the next 2 years. And we were able to make it to the state finals 2 years in a row. We lost by a total of 3 points combined. It's amazing what PTSD really is. You never forget certain things. I think we spent me and one of my closest friends, Steve Wash, we spent at least 6-7 years after that, always talking about those games and what woulda, shoulda, couldas. But I had a good stretch, man. I played with a lot of good people. Your Charles Fords, your Sherrod Fords, Lewis Hennon. I know that's one of your guys, Cardell. He was a young pup to me, but he came up, I think, 2 years after me, but wound up taking over things at Gwen Park. So it was a great experience, gift and a curse. With the good that comes to bad, things didn't necessarily pan out the way I wanted. I was hoping to go to school football. I got a little bit of money from a few universities, but by the time I finished my senior year, I decided just to focus on academics. So I ended up going to Tuskegee for college and majoring in electrical engineering. But I think when you fall in love with something, as much as you want to get away from it, it seems to never really leave you. So I ended up just by happenstance running like the intramural program. I just went into the office because I was just saying, hey, is there a program that just let regular people just play and compete? And they said they used to have one, but they said they were always looking for somebody to put together. So I was just like, hey, why not? So I set up a nice league that turned out to be one of the best things that happened at the university. A lot of people played in it. I brought officials in with just limited budgets. We had championships and stuff like that. So I stayed around the game for quite some time. After I graduated, initially I came out, as a young college knucklehead, just wanting to have fun and hanging outside, going to clubs. That's back into love and it was love at the time. I think days and familiar faces at Zanzibar. It was those nights. So eventually I wound up meeting my to-be wife in the future, and trying to spend time, hang out with her. Uh, but she had a lot going on in her life before we got married, so she pretty much told me, "Hey, look, man, you keep pressing me out to spend time. Why don't you go find yourself a hobby?" And I was like, "Well, damn." Ended up registering to be a coach at the Boys and Girls Club at Clinton, in Clinton, and went from that to coaching, and then I became the commissioner over there. So again, it's just the love for the sport. It kept me around it, and I think just because of my experience at Gwen Park, and I understand how vulnerable the youth is to coaches, and the opportunities that the coaches can afford them or potentially not afford them and put them in bad situations because of politics. I think I just began to start gravitating to really trying to help kids develop and grow, not only on the court, but as just young men, because this game is extremely mental, and if you're not taken care of properly, if you don't have the right guidance, if you don't know how to navigate it, if people don't teach you perseverance the right way, this is a rough environment to be around. So over time, I think I just started gravitating to kids that I thought had potential, that I can see potential in, but may have just needed an extra push. And those were the type of kids that I began coaching. Eventually, I started my own travel ball program called Team Dominate. um, I was a part of a few other travel programs, so I started mine. I built quite a few pretty good teams. They were good enough to get all my guys picked off of and go to a lot of these high program shoe programs that are around today. And I mean, regardless of the controversy, it's clear that I did something right, because all of my guys that for the most part that came through Team Dominate that I coach, they're playing on all high level shoe teams and in major roles, like literally major roles. Some of them are becoming nationally ranked players at this point. So I'm happy with where I am. I think this journey has been a great learning experience for me. But more importantly, I've been able to touch a lot of kids and put them in positions to be, successful um, um, on and off the court. Because the one thing I always stress is sports can only get you so far. Relationships can be built, but your academics is what's going to take you further. So there's a lot of lessons that you can learn in this sport. I don't know if that answered your initial question, Cardell.
No, I did definitely, man. I'll pass it along. What it was.
Coach, you talk about playing soccer at a young age. I know one of the things for me when I was growing up playing soccer, and then when I started playing basketball, one of the things that kind of translated over a little bit, was just, you know, really large field, a lot of space, having to see things a couple steps ahead. And I know for me, at least initially getting into basketball, did it also kind of make things easy for you seeing stuff on the court coming from playing soccer, playing basketball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that you learn in soccer is footwork. So if you can manage to get your footwork down while you're playing a sport, it allows you to be able to easily see the other aspects of the games that you got to learn and develop. So because I was comfortable with moving on the floor, I can do multiple things at one time. I'm able to anticipate a little bit more. I'm able to see what's either coming my way or think prior to me either getting the basketball or somebody doing certain moves. You can see stuff a little bit better. And the speed of the soccer too. Soccer is extremely fast sport, and it requires a lot of concentration. So the way you play soccer, you got your teammates. You got to think like it's almost like a chess game. You know, what angles, what directions, what misdirections. Who does it make sense to pass the ball to, and then once you get off the ball, you got to be ready to get back on the ball. So it's I think soccer is probably one of the best sports, in my opinion, out there. I think you can learn a lot out of soccer. I think it actually can help you in football, basketball. I think there's tons of sports. Rugby, I mean, tennis. It's just, I mean, just the way you move in soccer and the things you just develop at a young age. It's almost like the basis of a lot of the other sports that you can be playing. And I think I'll say one thing further. I think the stamina that you build in soccer is, I don't know if there's a sport that you're required to have more stamina in.
Yeah, you play enough, you get that second set of lungs.
Absolutely. I noticed that when I transitioned to basketball, people, we run the suicides, well, we called them suicides back in the day, or when we're on the court and and people are gassed, I'm good. As long as I was hydrated properly, I'm good.
All right, pass it on to Ray or Octavia.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that, you talked about the benefits of having a diverse athletic background, but like today, youth sports is much more specialized. The kids basically playing one sport year round. How do you think that's affected, the basketball landscape and kids' development?
Oh man, that's a long-winded question. We might need to figure out which approach, from a parent perspective or from a kid perspective, because I think from a child's perspective, and actually talking to one of my close friends who's an orthopedic, the wear and tear on the body is significantly different now. You're working a certain set of muscles more than you would if you were playing multiple sports, and by playing multiple sports, you're actually building other areas of your body that will support the muscles that you typically work, playing basketball. I also think there's something to multiple sport athletes. In my opinion, I think if you look at some of the top athletes in the world in all sports, they were and still are multiple sport athletes. So if coaches are selfish. I think by just by nature, we want the kids to ourselves. We want, every moment counts, every minute counts, every second counts. We need everything. But in the larger scheme of things, I don't think that that's the best approach. I also think that there's things that you learn in other sports that can help you for that particular sport, in a particular season. In my opinion, you can see the difference between an individual that plays football, that plays basketball, an individual that plays baseball and plays basketball. I think that there's some innate differences in the style of play, the physicality that they have, their willingness to, get in the mud, dive on loose balls. I just think that there's a fundamental difference. So there's a benefit in being a multiple sport athlete, in my opinion. as much as I love basketball and I always wanted my son, to be great at it. At the end of the day, he played baseball, he played a little bit of football, and I put my ego to the side. If he wanted to play another sport outside of the basketball season, logically I can't hold him back because I think that there's still a benefit despite the fact that I want him to stay in the gym.
So, also coming from a very great high school, I also went to Winter Park and graduated as well from there. And at times I
I
always
knew I saw it all on you. I saw it.
I do sometimes go back and think about the times at Gwynn Park and my coaches and the things that I probably should have listened to a little bit more when I was playing there, especially having a similar track like you did at Gwynn Park as well. Is there anything that now that you're a coach that you can remember that you wish you would have listened to a little bit more from your coaches back in your past?
That's a tough one, man. I got a mixed bag with my high school experience with basketball. I think if there was a lesson that I probably could have learned, I think mine would have been find you players of like mind and that have situations where they have, I don't want mentors or developers around them, and gravitate to that, because there's a lot of things that if you had the right training, if you got the right support system, it can kind of catapult your career above other people competing for the same thing. I remember playing in the Kenner League back in the day, and when we played against some of the private school teams, in my mind, of course, I was thinking we were going to be able to compete, if not beat them. And then when we get on the court and I see that they're stronger, that they're faster, their workout regimen was different than what we were being told or taught or being made to do. I think that was the difference between people that were able to elevate their careers to the next level and individuals that weren't, because there's a lot of talent in the era. There was a lot of talent at that time that I'm still convinced could have played at higher levels, but we didn't know that physical training, that the physical development and the repetition of doing certain things just solidifies your capabilities to play on a higher level. You are just as good as the next person, but that person is built like a rock. You know what I mean? That same person, like, their muscles, their strength, their speed is just at a different pace. And that's just because that they were in the gym under different regimens than you were. So that's some of the things that I'm preaching to my guys now, because I got a mixed bag of kids on my team currently. Some are private, some are public, and the kids that we are competing against, of course, you guys know the state of affairs of reclass. I'm sure we're gonna get to that at some point. But you're competing against stronger, bigger, faster players. So I'm telling them, if you are serious about this environment, this is the roughest environment, in my opinion, you can be in. You have to be in the gym. Like it's a requirement that you're going to lose sleep working on your body and working on your skill set. So I think that's the biggest thing, that had I known, I was in shape. I was a multiple sport athlete, so I was in shape. I played soccer, I did football, I ran track, cross country. I did a lot of sports in high school, but there's still something to being in the gym relentlessly, lifting weights, and taking care of your body in a certain level, as well as getting consistent repetition up. Because now, like, as much as I try to hate on the youngins, they shoot at a way more efficient rate than we did back in the day, and it's because they have access to getting thousands of shots up, over the span of a week all the time. So it's second nature to them now.
Yeah, and that's funny you bring up the regimen, because that helped me get prepared, because I had guys ahead of me that were already in college like a year ahead, and the first thing I said, I was like, what is it like? It was like, yo, get in the weight room, give me the weight room, and they would email me their plans and stuff like that. So during my senior year of high school, once I committed to Allegheny, whatever, I was I just did what they said because I'm like, man, I can't come in there and have like already behind. Because you know how it is when you're a freshman, you already gonna be behind as if because you're a freshman. But when you physically behind, that's when the red shirts come out. That's when they start recruiting over you, and you don't want those problems, man. So I definitely agree with that. And once you feel the contact, you like, yeah, it's even more necessary in a lot of ways than skill. Because if physically you can't play, you're not gonna be able to showcase your skill. You're just gonna be out there getting tossed around, and your confidence is gonna go in the drain, and you're not gonna be the same player.
That's Joe Forte and Keith Bogans. I learned that at the Kennedy League. I just remember running into their shoulder, and I was like, "What did I just hit?" And it's like,
you up out the dribble, yep.
Yeah, I get it now. So that's when the lights went off. Like, no, these people are built different. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if you're not ready for that, you can be a great player. I mean, athletic, but you might just end up being a street player just because your body's not built for it, you know, and it's real. I mean, it's just being honest.
Yeah. My question to you is the transfer portal era that you're coaching in now.
Can we drink on the show?
Yeah, just talk about the difference before COVID hit and changed the world forever, and then the transfer portal came in. Coaching prior to that compared to coaching now in it, and with the dynamic now of NIL in college, because now with the NIL deal, it went from with the transfer portal, okay, we're going to look in the transfer portal, then we're going to look at JUCOs, then prep, you go down. Now is, man, we got to recruit the guys we just coached, then get in the transfer portal, then JUCO. So it makes it even harder with the NIL on top of it for your guys, high school guys, to even get looks. Just talk about the difference in dealing with that as a coach and coaching players prior to it compared to now.
Yeah, so I like to think I'm still a student of the game, so I'm still learning. And like you said, the landscape is constantly changing over time. Taj Hawkins, he's the head of the New World organization. So we have quite a few conversations, quite a few arguments going back and forth. Like I said, because I'm a student, you know, I like to listen and I like to understand, regardless of whether I agree or not. And so he when we have our conversations, he's approaching it from more of a recruiter's eye than I am, because in my eye, you know, I think that my kids are this, my kids are that. I think they're capable of this or capable of that. And I think they are, but his perspective is one coming from exactly what you mentioned, Cardell. You know, you got to consider the portal, you got to consider the JUCO, you got to consider what the coaches have to deal with prior to even coming outside, because at this point, you know, NILs, not only has the NIL shaken up the game, but even just, I mean, the transfer portal in and of itself, having the ability to be at a high major Division I school, mid-major Division I school, playing well and still end up in the transfer portal just because of the NIL. Coaches are trying to build and sustain teams. So that, you know, it's quite the plight for them. The conversations that I've been having as of recently, even before we got to the travel season, there's a kid at Mount Zion Prep Academy that I was trying to help, you know, get in schools. And like you just mentioned, man, the conversation is, hey, you know, we have one spot that we're trying to, you know, fill, but we're waiting to see what our guy that's currently here is going to do. We're waiting to see if we can pull a guy from the transfer portal. We're looking at the JUCOs, and then, you know, if all else fails, we'll come to you. And I mean, at this point, unfortunately, like, it's almost like the way I see things is, if you're not an ESPN top 100 player, you know, D1 out the gate is going to be extremely hard to get to. Not that you're not talented. It's just, unfortunately, like, the state of affairs, the relationships that these college coaches have with certain organizations, is just an uphill climb, because why would I go get a 19-year-old, a 18-year-old, a 17-year-old when I got this 24-year-old that can come in and get the job done? And, you know, and if I don't get the job done, I'm going to get fired. Why would I even risk it? I don't think the game is about the development of men, the youth at all at this point. Unfortunately, I pray that things may change and we kind of get back to a certain place where the transition of play changes, but the portal is definitely a scary environment to be in right now. And it's absolutely affecting the kids. I mean, at this point, I'm talking to our parents and I'm telling our kids as well, hey, listen, the way things look to be shaking out, you should only expect to play high level Division I for 2 years of your college career. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing Division III, or Division II at all. But the way the portal is working, they want to see what you can do at the collegiate level first before they're going to invest those scholarships in you. So go to that. Don't point your nose away from a Division III or a Division II or even a JUCO at this point. If anything, you want to accept what you can get, and from there, be in a situation where they're going to continue to develop you. They're focusing on you getting better, and you become the best version of what you can, so you can then potentially get to that next level of division of play. Yeah, it's shaking up a lot of things. I got a current kid on my roster that's a senior, and in my opinion, he's flat out. I mean, creativity, he can drop the ball off well, he shoots well. He's not turnover prone. And I'm still surprised he's still in the market. So
all right, Coach, just to follow up with that whole conversation with the portal, obviously, with that being a part of it now, the other part of that, which hasn't ever changed, is people had parents before the portal, people have parents after the portal.
Yeah.
With everything you were just talking about, what the heck is that like, dealing with that part of it, with that in mind?
Oh man, I'm gonna try not to get in trouble with this. I know me and Cardell know quite a few of the same people, so we'll keep stuff anonymous. I'm learning more and more, regardless of the level of play. The DMV area has some of the most top talent in the country. We don't realize that because it's so many talented kids, that we're comparing some of the best players against each other to the point where we don't even realize that we're that good, right? I think what comes with that also is a level of entitlement from these parents. There's so many teams, we're flooded with so many teams, and the way the parents operate, in my opinion, well, at least some of them, I'm not going to speak for all of them, because there are some good parents out here. If they don't like the situation, they're going to take their ball and go home. They're going to find another situation that helps, or what they believe will help their child. But I think that's hurting the kids, in my opinion. There's few instances where I think it's justified. And coaches talk. There's a lot of kids that have constantly left programs, and you start seeing them. Like, I know kids that have been to multiple high schools, have reclassed, and it's not panning out the way a lot of people thought it would. I come from the cloth of, you kind of got to earn everything. Nothing is going to be perfect. If you're serious about this, then you have to figure out a way to persevere. You have to figure out a way to persevere. Unless a coach is really doing something to harm you, or it's evident that they're being extremely biased towards you, I don't know too many coaches that are willing to take losses just to keep a kid on the bench. So there has to be something about that child that's not getting something done, for a coach to just kind of leave you there. These parents, I believe most of them probably didn't grow up playing sports. I'm pretty confident most of them didn't experience competition throughout their high school and middle school careers. They don't know what it feels like to be denied. They don't know what it feels like to be rejected. They don't, once they have that feeling, because they got that feeling at an older age, they're handling their children, in my opinion, the wrong way. You got to deal with adversity. That you have to. If you're going to play a competitive sport, if the only time you feel adversity is in your late teens, I think you're in a bad state of affairs, because you got to learn how to persevere through stuff, and the kids feed off the parents. If they don't like it, and now they're in the car listening to their parents talking negative, so now they're thinking negative, and it kills the structure of teams. It becomes poisonous in the stands, and it creates a bad environment for a lot of people. I love the DMV. I love the DMV. But I do think we got a huge problem with entitlement in this area. I think we got a very huge problem with entitlement. And unfortunately, the other problem is coaches, again, without, calling out names, people want to win more than they want to develop kids still. Like, then they want to, raise young men and women. They're willing to still accept and tolerate certain things just so they can get on social media and say that they can win, or that they have a winning quote unquote situation, or they got the best players quote unquote in their camp. And I think it's creating a future generation of kids that may become, while though talented, problematic.
I think he answered that question very well. Right here, Octavia.
Yeah, just you're kind of talking about the young man on your team that's, you say he's extremely talented, but just doesn't have any offers right now. How do you kind of manage those expectations and guide a kid through that process? I can imagine it's pretty difficult, when a kid has worked hard and they've developed their game, but they're not seeing, the results they want at the time. Just how do you guide a kid through that process and keep them positive and keep them continuing to push through?
That's a great question. And I don't know if I've ever had a question like that before. I would say, typically, kids in this situation, I tell them just to stay the course. I think that you're talented. It's, the proof has already been in the pudding. Understand the environment that you're in, and all it takes is one showing. It may only just take you 5 more minutes just to get exactly what you came to get. This is a rough environment. Fortunately, we're playing on a platform that's going to afford them opportunities to be seen by multiple coaches, and we're performing well. He's performing well, so I'm confident that it's only a matter of time that he lands it. Outside of that, I just think that now, my job as a coach is to ensure that I'm getting them in front of coaches. I'm talking to coaches on their behalf. Like you posted that, our roster that kind of outlines everybody, their GPAs. So my job is just to continuously to promote and to try to technically sell the kid to as many schools as possible. He has been extended an offer, but he should have a lot more at this point, and I think he's going to get a lot more. But seeing him not already be out and have a scholarship at this point, it just speaks to the fact that the politics of this game is real. The portal is real. Coaches are telling me they're not recruiting high school players at this time. It's all real. I mean, and I'm hearing this from multiple coaches. So stay your course. Like, you can't get focused on the things that you can't control. Control your controllables. And that means every time we get out on this floor, my expectation is that you go out there and you showcase exactly what you are. Have a chip on your shoulder. That's fine. Have a chip on your shoulder. But go out there and make sure you find that 5 minutes of kill that makes it, give coaches no doubt that they want you at this point. And I think he's bought in. The team as a whole, I think they've all bought in. So it's been a great season so far for our guys. So I'm actually happy, in my opinion. This is the best group of kids that I've been able to coach, because I think they all not only hold each other accountable, but motivate each other, push each other, and talk each other up. I mean, like it reminds me of 20 years ago. Not as competitive, but they playing for each other. So I think it's only a matter of a time that the team is going to get him what he's been waiting for.
So my co-hosts know that the one thing that I always look for when I'm looking at players, and the one thing that I'm always looking at, is their desire to play defense. So for me, I feel like everybody has that one thing they're looking for that's like a non-negotiable when you're looking to add somebody to your team, somebody that you want to possibly coach. What would be that one thing that you always look for in a player that you would want to come play for you?
Hey man, you went to Gwen Park. Defense, baby.
Yeah.
Defense. No, I mean defense wins championships. I look for tenacity. I look for I got a set of twins on my team, man, and to me they're the heartbeats of our team. They do the dirty work. They're the grimy players, and I think they are a major part of why our team is successful. We got really talented kids that can score the ball well at a high level, but I think my twins, man, they in those games where everything is close and everything is even and everybody's trying to find an edge in the game, they'll end up with a steal, a deflection, and you can see it crush the other team's momentum. You can just see it crush their energy, and they do it on a night in and out night out basis. So you're a defense. I mean, absolutely defense. Scoring at this point. I tell our kids, scoring is going to come and scoring is going to go. I didn't bring anybody on individually to end up with 20 points a night. I said some nights is going to be, Nigel's night. Some nights is going to be Chris's night. Some nights is going to be JB night. And JB's our workhorse. I mean, we probably got, in my opinion, 3 players that can average. If we ran offenses sets in a certain way, they probably can average 20 points a night. But we share the ball enough, and we understand that it's bigger than people just getting their points. So defense is where I want our kids to hang our hats on, because you're going to have good nights, you're going to have bad nights offensively, but there's no excuse for you not to make stops. So I was a defender growing up, and maybe it's because of soccer, but I always hung my hat on defense. My team, when I was in the game, they ran in, yo, Rick, let's go, time to pick it up, because they knew what time it was. So if you can be a great defender, to me that can offset a lot of other issues in the game. So I love defenders. I love defenders.
Yeah, you spoke about entitlement a while back. How do you navigate things as a coach dealing with what I call the crab mentality in the area where so many people are looking to tear down other people, their other coaches, other organizations. They even go as far as to be like, that kid ain't that good, to college coaches just to get their kid recruited. It's a very grimy game. I know how I deal with it because I got a scout all the time, and it's very hard for me to be around a lot of cats in the basketball because I'm just trying to prevent myself from going to jail, to be honest.
Yeah.
They really push you to that point. So how do you navigate that? Because you kind of have to coach an AAU.
That's a great question, man. I don't know if I have a perfect answer for you. I think I've been coaching enough to have experienced enough to now understand how important it is to control the controllables, right? I know that teams that have certain logos on their uniforms will be enticing to a kid, enticing to a parent. I know that at a certain point, if somebody tells you can come play for us and you can play for free, that's going to be enticing to a kid. It's going to be enticing to parents. I understand that at this point, as much as I tried to reject it, all of our relationships are based on convenience. As much as you think you have these great relationships with these parents, and while all things are good, it's good. You done found new friends. After games we can go hang out, eat, drink a little bit, and everything is lovely. But the moment that child has a bad game or things don't go well, that same person that you thought you was good with, now you're hearing that the kid is ending up working out in other gyms. So over time, you begin to understand the reality of the situation. My feelings have been hurt enough. So I think at this point, what I realize is what I try to look for is kids that are hungry. And honestly, kids that are not necessarily quote unquote the cream of the crop kids that everybody likes, right? Because I also think what comes with that is their parents haven't experienced that level of quote unquote entitlement, or they don't know what it feels like to have the wanted child all the time and stuff like that. I it's funny because I was having a conversation. One of my friends is also a coach. I try to stay away from premier players because I just think that it's too much politics that come with it. And I'd rather find a kid that I know can probably compete against that premier player that hasn't even yet had anybody believe in him yet. So he doesn't, he probably has 2 to 3 more levels to go. And I think I find success in that manner. I'm going to lose a kid that everybody wants. It's innate because I'm not going to lie to children, and I'm not going to placate parents. So I'm going to end up losing those kids. I know, because I'm always laughing with some of the coaches. I'm like, what are they telling these kids to even like let them jump ship like that? Like, I'm hearing about kids from like literally today. I got a phone call about how a kid left a top-notch program and they're doing well on the Adidas circuit. Like they're one of the top teams, if not the top teams on the Adidas circuit. Not a lot of kids on that team, and he jumped ship just because he didn't get the playing time that he want. And this is at the upper echelon of basketball, and you're looking at this like it's insane. So it doesn't just happen on the smaller programs. It happens on the larger programs. So knowing that now, I'm less emotionally affected by it. Like I just understand that either some people either just don't know no better. Certain kids have been put in situations where their parents, they're looking for benefits more than the kids are at this point. So you now that you know what you know, that don't I try not to allow my emotions to get. I used to be the first person looking at coaches and saying hi, dapping people up now. So now, I'm walking in the room. If you don't say nothing, I don't say nothing. Let's keep it basketball. Like, you know what I mean? Like you start, and it's not I don't take it as a petty thing. I just like, you grow into understanding the state of affairs. But again, it's all convenience. And now that, and when I look back, right, the same guys that I'm smiling with, thinking that we can have relationships with, it's not a necessity. I'm fine. You know what I mean? I learn from those I need to learn from and grow from those I need to grow from. So if it wasn't for me, then why force something? You know what I mean? After a certain point, you're spending too much energy reaching for stuff that really don't belong to you. Stay your course, find you the right situation, which is never going to be perfect, and make the best out of it. And you never know where you land. So no, you're right, Cardell. It's bad, man. The state of affairs are bad, brother.
Yeah.
And I mean bad. I mean
Very
bad.
bad. You got no idea. You know how many people be hitting me up like, Carter, just chill, man. Don't do like they know the younger me, the coaches, my whole college coach. It's Bird, like, yo, just leave it alone, man. On the back channels, it's bad because they know what they doing. And it's grown men, it's middle-aged men acting like high school kids, but trying to coach up the high school kids. It's like, my man, come on, dog, act your age. Like, for real.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Like, and you ain't the only one that went through it. Like your son came up the gym couch, so you saw like we had the Minnesota front office.
Yeah.
We had the Minnesota front office there, right?
Yep.
You saw what it brings Nike, all the Nike people and all that stuff like that. I've had the AAU organizations I'm inviting certain kids, and they would tell their kids, no, don't go up there, just because they don't like me, and hurt the kid. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's just silliness. So like what you say, how you recruit, I gotta look for kids like that that's hungry, that they may not be paying attention to, and then they like one kid that's blown up. You know Mason Ellison.
Yeah.
I got him a couple years ago, and now he can write his own ticket. He's one of the rare high school kids that got all the offers he wants. So absolutely. I gotta look for that. But I love it because it also tests my scouting skills. So if you know what you're looking at, you can identify. So you know it is all, but it's toxic these days, and it shouldn't be like that. Do you think it's toxic? Was it this toxic when we were in high school? You think it's far worse now?
I think it's so. The only reason why I would say it's far worse because I actually think now at this point there's more kids playing that shouldn't be playing. Because of the multiple teams, the multiple different circuits now. Like Puma just came out with a circuit. There was kids that were playing for me that's now on the Puma circuit because they found a whole nother program and it's a meat market. Like one of the kids was telling me, that and on another program that they went over there just because they don't got to pay. Like, I'm just going over here because I don't got to pay. I know I've been talked about amongst coaches. I mean, I've found that out after the fact. So like you're saying, man, it's a bunch of stuff. I've gotten into it with shoe teams. Like, and the thing about it is, I didn't get into it from a perspective of you guys aren't that good or you guys don't know what you're doing. I got into it with more of a, I'm fighting a big engine. I'm like, you guys are walking around acting like you're the best thing since sliced bread, but really the only thing you're doing is throwing money at kids. And that's the reason why your program is if I had the same money and the same backing, I can build the same thing that you build. Not saying that you can't coach, but just be careful and mindful of how you walk around with your chest out, because all the kids that made your team what it is was developed by somebody else that wasn't even on your staff. So let's be respectful and let's keep it about the kids. That's what I always thought it was about, the development of kids, man. And come to find out, now, especially right now, it's in my opinion, humble opinion, there are some good coaches, but I think the majority of it is the state of affairs is not great. So again, I guess getting back to that point of control the controllables, man. You're able to refine your recruiting skills or your scouting skills because of the difficulty of what you have to endure. I think there's power in that, and I think that in of itself is going to turn you into one of the best scouts, because you're required to pay attention to details, not just, oh, there's some kid in this gym that everybody knows about, right? That everybody's going to talk about and say the same thing about. No, you're going to find untapped territory. You're going to pay a little bit more attention. You're going to focus on more of the details and the intricacies of a person's play, their movements, you know what I mean? Their attitudes, their body language, their explosiveness. And you're going to see, oh, no, there's something there that if we cultivate, I think we'll have something. And I'm sure you are aware, and in my opinion, a lot of the best talent that gets to the highest level, they're not necessarily the best talent once they get to college.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? How many all-stars that are in the NBA now are playing professionally you didn't even know about in college? You know what I mean? So it's political. It's a game. So know what you know, be confident in what you see, and I think the rest kind of it takes care of itself.
And one thing, that's a great point you brought up. With one, a lot of these coaches, honestly, they weren't outside when we were coming up for sure. So I'm not even gonna get into that. They act like they are, but they weren't. And then to part two, like I like what you just said. It's a guy that's killing in the playoffs right now from there, Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm,
a lot of people don't know he played on the same team with a kid named Deion Wiley. Deion Wiley was ranked far ahead of him. Out of their senior year, they both played on Takeover. They go to Deion Wiley's more coveted guy. He got banged up in college here and there, but Joshua Villanova developed over some years, and you see what he's doing. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? And he's carved out. He's going. Well, he's already has, but you can easily see him playing about 15 years in the league, man. And, you know, being one of those guys like kind of the same breath like an Iguodala. Like he might be a
Yeah.
Hall of Famer just off his intangibles and everything he's brought to the each team
Absolutely.
he's played for and win and help winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And that goes to show you what you were just talking about. Just because you might be have more of a spotlight in high school, especially in this area, lately, the guys with the spotlight ain't been
Yeah.
turning out like that. It be the under the
Respectfully, yeah,
radar.
it's no disrespect. It just is what it is. Yeah.
Just facts. So whereas compared to our era, if they was that dude, they got that spotlight, they were really that dude. You know what I'm saying? So you got to respect it. But my last question for you, man, before we get up out of here, look, just moving forward, man, what are your goals for your New World team, but individually, you know, for yourself as a coach? Because you know, every coach want to move up the ladder, man. You may be the head coach at AAU. Some guys might have an eye on trying to run a high school program, or maybe one day even get to the college level and run a college program. But what are your individual goals, and obviously goals for your team?
Well, as far as the team is concerned, man, I honestly believe I got 10 talented kids that I think deserve an opportunity to play on a higher platform. I'm not just saying that just because, you know, I coached them. I'm saying that, you know, we're competing against high level talent. Yeah. For those who are not familiar, the Hoop Group Showcase League, it's an invite only portion of the Hoop Group organization's circuit. And you get to play shoe teams at times, but you also get to compete against a lot of high level teams that are people call them mom and pop, but non-sponsored programs that have elite players as well. So you know, we get to compete against a lot of teams that are well known, that have kids that are supposed to be Division I players, and we're performing well. That said, if we're performing well, that means the kids that are on our team are pretty talented, and they're under the radar for one reason or another. All of them got pretty much, as you can see on the roster, GPAs are really good. They're all good kids. So my goal for them is to try to get every last one of them in school. I mean, that's my number one goal. I think if I can do that, I think it'll just set me up for whatever my next step is. But honestly, you know, I'm in this really just to see kids go to school and then come back and give back. At this point, I'm about to be 42 years old, and you start to understand what's more important. And success is one thing, but making sure that you're bringing that success back home is another. I want to be able to see these 10 young men graduate from a school, or if not graduate, go on and do something professionally, have a good income, and come back and pour back into, you know, their communities, and help that next group of kids who may not have had the same opportunity. So that's where I'm at with it, and a free education will help it. So, you know, I want to get them there. As far as I'm concerned, I got 4 kids. So the wife is heavily involved. She plays a good role in this right now. I would love to coach at a higher level. I'm a student of the game still, so you know, there's a lot that I can still learn. If the situation will be great, you know, that would be great. If not, if I'm unable to financially find a collegiate position that can help me support, and I'm sure, Cardell, you're familiar with salaries, you know, Division I, Division II, Division III of these coaches. So depending on where you land, salaries ain't as great as a lot of people think. But you know, if I can find a good situation that doesn't take me away from my house and my kids, then, you know, I would love an opportunity to do that. But you know, at this point, you know, I have a decent job. My wife has a good job, and I got a baby girl who's a dancer. I got a baby girl who's a cheerleader. My 70-year-old is playing for me, and I got a 2-year-old knucklehead boy. So I'm busy. So unfortunately, you know, my ambition to be this great coach may have to take a back seat for a few years. But while that's the case, as you know, remaining a student of the game, always being open to learn. I'm coaching at the high school level now as well, so I'm able to continue to cultivate, you know, my craft, whether it's travel ball or high school ball. So If the right opportunity presents itself, I would bite. But I do enjoy seeing my daughter cheerlead, even though I hated it initially. But she does really good at it. And my baby girl, she's a really good dancer. She just got her own individual solo. So pray for me. It's everything's expensive at this point.
Congrats to all your kids and its continued success.
Yeah.
Definitely be in our prayers. I mean, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Appreciate it. The conversation. You guys had any more questions? Just wanted to double check. All right. Well, again, Coach Ricky, thank you so much for stopping by. Folks, we're going to head to break when we get back. Quick update on the Mystics. As you know, we're getting closer and closer. The opening night, we're about, today's Tuesday, so we're a week away from opening night with the WNBA season. So look forward to talk with you guys about that. We'll be right back. You're watching the Focus TV. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Again, want to thank Coach Ricky Harris for joining us this evening, man. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure you all did as well. And Cardell, I'm sure, touched on many topics you already talk about within this area that you deal with on a regular basis. All right, quick update on the Mystics. Today, obviously, recording on Tuesday. So when I say today, typically talk about Tuesday. Had one of their many. This is something they do almost every year. They had a joint practice with the Minnesota Lynx today. A lot of the times, I know covering Maryland, it's not, it's not rare to turn around and see the Lynx and the Mystic staffs be honest at some point, depending on who Maryland's playing. So there's a lot of familiarity there. So I definitely understand why that is. They're practicing together. They have a preseason game tomorrow, which will have Mystics Outlook tomorrow morning but in their first preseason game against, they had a first preseason game last week against Atlanta. Coach E talked about what they were looking for, what they wanted out of the joint practice, and then tomorrow's game against Minnesota. We have that up on IG. And then earlier today, the Mystics traded Queen Egbo to the Connecticut Sun for a 2025 second-round pick and the negotiating rights to center Bernadette Hattar, a 6'10" center. Yes, say that again, 6'10" center. So we'll see what that looks like in terms of if they're able to get the negotiation done or what or not. However, going to next year's draft, they got 3 picks right now, I believe, unless this was the 4th, but you got 2 1s next year, and I believe 2 2s or at least 1 2. But they're adding to the war chest for next year's draft. And then Cardell, you get your first look at them tomorrow. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about that. But look, we're looking forward to the start of the Mystic season. It looks a little bit different compared to what it looked like in an era is officially over in terms of that 2019 group. For the most part, it's officially, post that core to a degree. Folks are gone. I'm looking forward to see what this looks like going forward under not new leadership, but you gotta know what I mean in terms of the vets have changed a little bit. So looking forward to that. All right, NBA playoff wise, we're in the second round this week. Things that folks may have missed, just in case you missed it. The Cavaliers pulled away from the Magic on Game 7 to advance to face the Celtics in the 1-4 matchup. In the East, we also saw the Knicks and Pacers close out the Sixers and Bucks respectively. That series has already started, and the Knicks lead 1-0. Talking about Indiana, New York. The Mavs close out the Clippers in 6 with some heroics from Kyrie Irving late in that one. They will take on the Thunder later this evening. And the Timberwolves have already jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the Connolly Classic. They did so, getting the second win without the services of Rudy Gobert, who was absent due to the birth of his child. Congrats to him and his family. And look, I ain't got to even mention other folks who had crazy things to say about somebody, I don't know, being a dad. Really, really weird. But from that person, it's on brand. Anyways, where do you guys want to start? All right, look, we're in the second round. Game currently finishing up right now. Looks like the Celtics gonna take game one against the Cavaliers. So we'll start there. Hey, whoever wants to jump in, jump in. But that's where we're at.
Boys ain't got no chance without Jared Allen. Let's just we're gonna get right to it. Look, Boston's deadly when they're not settling for threes. That's their problem. Sometimes they can get 3-point happy, and you can shoot yourself in and out of a game being 3-point happy. With that being said, Celtics have had the chance to rest for a little bit. Cavaliers coming off a 7-game war against the Magic. You got to take a quick trip from from Cleveland to Boston. They're rested. They're motivated. They've been watching. And you can see how easily they can catch you slipping, and you can see by the score that they're a little fatigued and they're wounded. Even though the Celtics are wounded, but the Celtics are at home. They have far more experience and more talent, more depth, man. So, but like I say, with the Celtics, when they're playing within themselves and it's a balanced attack, they're very difficult to beat. It's just when they kind of rely on the 3-point range, trying to shoot themselves into the game, so to speak, or out of bad shooting performances, is when they get themselves in trouble. You know what I mean? So, it's the first game. You got to give Cavs some time to regroup, see how they battle back, but definitely a win that if the Cavs going to do something, they need to come out game 2 with a lot more urgency than what they've shown tonight.
Octavia?
Yeah, I mean, just like Cardo said, just them coming off the game 7 and all the hard work they had to put in even to win game 7, being down by 18 points in the first half and having to fight back in the second half to even come out of that. It takes a lot of energy. Like you said, that was Sunday. It's only Tuesday. They had 1 day of rest, plus they had to travel. And yeah, not having Jared Allen is definitely going to be hard for them. They need the big man, and it doesn't sound like he's close right now based off of the rib injury. I think they said he can barely put his hands above his head, which does not sound good at all. And thankfully, on the other side, it gives Kristaps Porzingis more time to rest. And they're really not missing a lot of his scoring because Derek White has just been on one, scoring 38, 27. He got 25 tonight. Jaylen Brown had a good game tonight. He struggles sometimes with 32. And I mean, Jason Tatum had a moderate 18. And they're getting good minutes from their bench. Xavier Tillman got in and bumped around a little bit. Cornette did okay in the part of this game. So as long as Boston can stay focused and not get too high and get too ahead of themselves and just continue to play well the entire game and not take their foot off the gas like they commonly do, they shouldn't have an issue in this series.
Right.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle for Cleveland, man, and I don't think they can make the climb. Boston's just far and away the better team, and with Cleveland without the services of Jared Allen, it's just going to be hard for them to keep up. And like Cardell pointed out, man, if Boston just sticks to the script, then this should be over rather quickly. I think that's one of the things that's kept them from, getting to the mountaintop so far. It's just extremely talented group. They've been in the finals before. Yeah, man, they just gotta find that last level. But yeah, as long as they stay away from getting too 3-point happy, they should be fine, man. But yeah, I don't expect this series to go on much longer.
All right, Ray, we'll go ahead and keep it on you as we look at the other series in the East, invoking memories of the 90s. At least they were trying to with some of the some like the pregame, the little intros into the games and whatnot. It's cool to see that, it means the Knicks are officially back.
Yeah, I think the Knicks got too much hard hat and lunch pail for the Pacers, man. We saw that the last game, Indy let it slip through their fingers. The Knicks just stayed poised, and they made the plays they need to make. can't talk enough about Josh Hart. Man, every team needs a guy like that if you're trying to win a championship. Ultimate glue guy. He can do everything you need. He can score when you need him to. Playing defense is just like breathing to him. He's going to get in there and fight and rebound. Just has all the intangibles, and Jalen Brunson's continuing his great play. I just don't think the Pacers they're missing production from Tyrese Halliburton. Like I forget he's on the floor at times. And if he's going to play like that, then that's not going to bode well for Indiana, man. But they got Siakam, who has championship experience. They got a couple pieces, but I just don't think they're going to win the grit game over the Knicks. If it's close, I'm trusting New York way more than them.
All right, Octavia.
Yeah, it's like a battle of two different styles. The Pacers want to play fast. The Knicks want to slow it down, let Jalen Brunson do his thing. And I mean, granted, I do think the series will be kind of competitive, as we saw in Game 1, had there not been issues with calls. But again, I've never been the one to dwell on the calls that referees make or do not make. You shouldn't have put yourself in a situation for that to be the reason why you feel like you would have lost the game. But yeah, I mean, the Knicks they're definitely on one. We've been talking about it for a while. They're playing as great as they can. I mean, the only thing is they're going to have some injuries, of course, with not having Julius Randle, and now Mitchell Robinson will be out tomorrow, so that'll be interesting to see how I think Precious Achiuwa will probably get some more time. So yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, I really feel like as long as they got Jalen Brunson doing what he needs to do, then there really shouldn't be a problem for them. But the Pacers, they're gonna play hard. And like we talked about in the previous series, the Pacers lost Game 1 against the Bucks, but we know Rick Carlisle can make hella adjustments. So I'm interested to see the adjustments that he makes going into Game 2, knowing that it was as close as it was in Game 1. And seeing how, the star for the Pacers, Halliburton, Pascal Siakam's been playing great. I think Halliburton is having some back issues, but he's saying that he's going to play through it regardless, as at this point he should. He's there in the playoffs. Outside of the nostalgia of it being a Pacers and Knicks series, it's always going to be funny to see Reggie Miller at the booth on Wednesday at the Garden. That's just going to be a good time to see. Watching those games as a kid on the old NBC and the actual, theme music they used to play and everything. It was a good time. So it's nice to see both teams back in there. But I feel like if the Knicks do what they're supposed to do, they should win the game. Like Ray also said, they come with their hard hat, their lunchbox and everything. And as we just talked about with Coach, defense is going to do it. And we know those Villanova boys are going to play defense. So they should take care of business, but I think it'll be a good series.
Cardo?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard-fought series. It could have easily been the Pacers' first game as far as winning. I like what I saw from Miles Turner. I think he's been stepping up big. Pascal Siakam's been on one the entire postseason. You know what I mean? That was a hell of a pickup. And I think because of Miles Turner's production, it's hard to have OG Anunoby focus on Siakam. But Siakam was giving him work too because they played in Toronto together, so he knows his game. So that's not an advantage. They need Tyrese Halliburton to be an all-star. It's as simple as that. TJ McConnell should not be out playing you. Your backup should not be out playing you, having 18 points and 3 assists. I mean, Halliburton got his assists, but they need you to score. You know what I mean? That's what it is. But to keep it real, he was on he was on the ropes because he got guard Brunson, and Brunson was taking it to him. He a little too frail to deal with Brunson's stocky style and get him in the paint. And once he gets you in the paint, I'm talking about Brunson. He's short, but he's not small. If that makes sense, man. He's a stocky, strong guard, and and when he bump you, you're gonna move, especially a frail guy like Halliburton. So he's gonna have to change his mindset, get grimy, and really get physical. But the thing is, with the Knicks, man, they don't go away. I think Rick Carlisle said after the game that the Knicks is the only team in the league where it seemed like as the game go along, they play harder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you supposed to be fading. Nah, these dudes picking it up even more. Like, what the hell? What are they on and stuff like that? And it's just not Brunson. It's a total team effort. I just spoke about OG Onunobi, Dante, Isaiah Hartenstein. They don't give him the credit he deserves. With him, his defense, his rebounding, his interior presence, his push jump shot from 10 feet that he's automatic with. Mitchell Robinson playing his role, but Josh Hart has been the X factor, man. And, like last night, he had 24, 13, 8 with 3 steals. Only thing bad about him, he had 5 turnovers. But let me put in perspective what this man is doing in the playoffs right now. The boy is averaging 17.9 points, 12.4 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal on the block on 44% shooting from the field and 44% shooting from three-point range at 6'4". You just can't find that production from you, like, and the thing is, he's getting that production, and it's not even plays being called for him. They're just kicking it out when defense collapsing on Brunson or whoever's driving, and he's just getting wide open threes. For a 6'4" guard in the playoffs to be averaging 12.4 rebounds, and he's giving you the guard stuff with the 5 assists. I mean, he's been an X factor for the Knicks that no team so far has been able to match up with. You see what I'm saying? And that he's down there with the trees, getting the boards. He's playing like a guard, facilitating, and he's hitting open shots. It's just the only negative you can say with him is, he's shooting like 63% from the free throw line. He's a little shaky in the line right now. If you get that up the par, man, it gets ugly. And when you have that type of all-around production from all your guys, especially on the perimeter and stuff like that, you trust them to be able to close out games and make the necessary plays to pull out close wins. And that's why, with the Pacers, I feel like it'll go the distance. It could be interesting if Halliburton wakes up and they keep getting the production they getting from Shaka and Turner. But if the games are close, you got to favor the Knicks because they keep proving time and time again they're willing to do whatever it takes, whatever's necessary to get that win. And you can't be mad at it.
It's almost like having an extra big 17 and 12.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, that's a production they're getting is
almost 4 offensive rebounds a game in the playoffs.
No, that's 8 big. People would be singing their praises, let alone a 6'4" guard, bro. That's absurd. All right, to the West, this is the game we got. That's about to start in a little bit as we wrap up this recording this week's show. We got the 1 seed, one of the 3 1 seeds in the West, which is again got to honor all 3 because they've been consistent all year long. OKC taking on the Mavs. We got Luka and Kyrie got out the first round, led their mob out the first round, and they taking on them. The kids made short work of their food in the first round, so they've been waiting around a little bit, ready to go. Cardell will stay with you to start this one off. Yeah,
this is gonna be a fun one, man. I actually kind of favor Dallas in this because they're bigger, with Derek Lively and Gafford in the middle. I'm not sure Chet's quite ready for this primetime action. And I know they got the not the Clippers, the Pelicans without Zion and all that, but Dallas is a different animal. And in this series, Shea gonna have to guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can do what he gotta do, but he gonna have to guard, and he gonna have to guard every game, all game, dog, because you gotta deal with Luka or Kyrie. Ain't no nights off. You want to deal with something. You see what I'm saying? So he's going to have to guard. I know one of them going to see Lou Dort, probably Luka, because he's bigger. I understand that. I know what Jalen Williams brings to the table. That's a fun matchup as far as him and PJ and all those guys rumbling and stuff on the wing. Derrick Jones and all those guys. But that size, man. One thing we've been seeing in the playoffs is teams that's bigger tend to win. You know what I mean? Especially you have depth at that position. And Dallas has that. You know what I'm saying? It's just I just think overall OKC may have more balanced attack. They're young and inexperienced, but talent-wise, they had a more balanced attack. But Dallas, they have the experience. My thing is Luka and Kyrie got to do what they do. They can't afford to, one guy play good, but let's say Kyrie might be like 4 or 15. You can't have those type of nights. They got to do what they did in game, the closeout game against the Clippers. If they play like that, and if they play like that, they're gonna be tough to beat because they're not only getting theirs, but they're dictating a lot of stuff for all the other players, and that means they're bigs to eat and whatnot. And I mean, look, it's very close, but if Luka and Kyrie do what they do, they should. To me, they have the edge.
All right, Octavia.
Yeah, I think this series is going to come down to who's going to play defense. Which team is going to really lock in? We know both teams at times can have lapse of judgments when it comes to the defensive side of it. And I think that's really what's going to come down to it. I do tend to lean towards the Mavericks just because of the veteran aspect of it. Kyrie's been there before. Luka's been deep in the playoffs before. And the Thunder are very young. But a lot of times you always got to remember they're young, so they don't know no better. They don't got to go out there with no pressure. I mean, granted, I do think they got pressure being the number 1 seed. But as far as just internally knowing like it's our first time here. But, being the number 1 seed, it means a lot. So I definitely think it's going to be a tough series. If I had to choose, like lean a little bit more to the other, it would be the Mavericks just based off of the veteran presence. But I think watching game 1 will give us a lot of intel of how the series might go. So I'm just excited to see the game tonight and kind of see what both teams come out with their strategies, how they're trying to play each other. And yeah, like it's definitely going to be a good series. So like, I'm glad we're kind of getting to the nitty gritty now. We're going to have like day in, day out, great series to watch.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's going to be tough for OKC to negate Dallas's size. And, the bigger team, more often than not, is going to control the boards, and that's going to allow them to control the pace of the game. So, yeah, man, OKC, they got to dig in. And to Cardel's point, SGA, he going to have to guard somebody. And, it'll be interesting to see if he can keep up the offensive productivity while still having to work extremely hard on defense. Dallas got 2 guys that can get on the heater real quick. So yeah, man, they got a lot to contend with. And OKC, they do have some defensive versatility on the wing that that should help some, but if it's one thing we've seen is if a team find a matchup that's working, they gonna go right back to it. So yeah, they gonna find you if they want to find you. So Shay, this is gonna be a series where we're gonna see if he's ready to grow up. Because Kyrie's been there before. Luka's been to a conference finals before. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
All right, and Ray, we'll stay with you to talk about the last series. And this one already is 2-0 already. Minnesota's headed back to Minnesota. So, no one wants to put the meme up, but the band started playing already. But Denver, the sense of urgency needs to be you need to hit the red button, sense of urgency-wise. They not playing. Ray, your thoughts on this one? They not playing.
Yeah, man. They got Denver looking frazzled. It is different when it's different when somebody in your shit like that. The whole game, 94 feet with that length. Dudes don't be looking like the same dudes, And we all love Jokic, we all love Murray, but yeah, dog, it's different, man. Jokic. We haven't seen too many guys body him up and be able to, sit there on the island with him like that. It's a lot more frustration, and we've seen some uncharacteristic turnovers from Jokic. Jamal Murray has been rendered ineffective through these first 2 games, man. You know, and I know he's dealing with a calf injury, but he had it last series. So yeah, dog, defense matters, and we're seeing that, you know, with them playing defense like that, and you know, with Anthony Edwards continuing doing what he's doing on the other end, you know, along with guys like Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels, man, this is a complete team that's obviously hell to deal with. People are admitting that defense actually means something again. Look at that. You know, this
That's a
we
thing.
got, yeah, apparently it is. You know, we've got a guy that's been really destroying the league for the past couple of years, looking extremely human right now, man, and he doesn't appear to have any answers. And for them to go into Denver and get 2, that's big, man. That game 3 is a must win for the Nuggets, because Minnesota smell blood, and he on one, man. You know, we've seen him, you know, how he's galvanizing the troops, how he's taking on that leadership role, and he's not letting them let up, man. I think he's grasping the moment. He understands that, you know, job's not done yet, and he's going to make sure that it gets done. So yeah, Denver got a counter, man. To be perfectly honest, man, I don't know if they have the answers. And with what you brought up, calling it the Connolly Classic, they're going up against the guy that built them, so he knows how to beat them and constructed this team just to do that. So yeah, we going to see we going to see how you know, just how good these guys can be. But yeah, as it stands now, it looks like Minnesota is firmly in control of this series. And yeah, I honestly don't see that changing. You know, if it does, kudos to the Nuggets, but they got to figure some things out.
Octavia.
It was just a beautiful game to watch of defense. Like it was literally suffocating. Like I was really sitting there like, is this really happening? And to do all of that without the defensive player of the year that was just announced today for Rudy Gobert, who did not play. And I was like, when I heard he wasn't playing, I was like, the Nuggets got to get this game. They got to get this one. If Rudy's out, you got to take advantage of that time. And all that went out the window in like 0.5 seconds. I was like, okay, I guess that doesn't matter. I mean, anybody who can appreciate defense, like that was like an amazing game to watch. I mean, Jamal Murray could not breathe without somebody being inside his jersey. And I always talk about the fact that you may not have a good offensive night. You might not shoot the lights out of it. You might not even be that great of an offensive player. But if you play defense, you will be on the court. Jaden McDaniels played 26 minutes. He was 2 of 7. He had 5 points. He was out there strapping. And if he got in trouble, they swapped out for another one that looked just like him, and Nicole Anderson. And it was just like, I don't know what they could do. Their stars played like stars. Cat with 27, Ant with 27, and I've never seen the Nuggets look like that. I mean, for goodness sakes, Jamal Murray throwing heat packs on the court. I don't know what went through his brain when that happened. That was $100,000 heat pack, I guess. I've never seen it, and it's like this one voice, like all the way in the back of my head, that's like, I mean, the Nuggets, it's the Nuggets. Like they can turn it around, and you know they can. Everything else in my head is like, nah, I don't know about that, bro, because they not playing with them at all. Like you said, to go into Denver and come out 2-0 and possibly go home, go 4-0 on your home field or your home court and rest to see whatever happens between the Mavericks and the Thunder. That's tough to be able to do. And got one little voice in the back of my head is getting quieter and quieter. Something drastic has to happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it'll happen. But Minnesota is looking all like it's we ain't got time for this, bro. Like we're about to do 1, 2, 3 Cancun / Galveston, wherever y'all want to go. Have fun in the off season, bro. We catch y'all next year. Yeah, it's bad. I haven't seen it like that. Like it's bad. But on the Minnesota side, it's amazing. It's like I've never seen a team that committed to defense. They I feel like they know that Jamal Murray is not 100% and they're not letting him off at all. It's like you out here, you 100%. I don't care what's going on with nothing else. I'm being in your jersey. You ain't doing none of that stuff you thought you did last series. Ain't happening. And Jokic looks exhausted. And to be banging around, like, I mean, to think about it, you think you got a quote unquote night off with no Rudy Gobert. Of course, Cat is still there, but then you got Nas Reed coming in, 6th man of the year, just knocking you around too. It got real. So good luck to them. I don't know. I mean, it's not looking too good. But yeah, the Timberwolves aren't here to play.
Ricardo?
Yeah, for me, starting off Jamal Murray being hurt, I don't want to hear that shit. He was just fine hitting game winners and scoring against the Lakers. I don't want to hear that shit. He's getting his ass locked up and he's frustrated. Like I've been saying for years, if a dude ain't ready to swing on you, you're not really strapping. That's just how it is, and they strapping. That's why they tripping. Watching the game last night, I couldn't help but think about Akon locked up song. That's just how they was looking. It just kept playing in my head. It applied to Jamal Murray and all that. The crazy thing is about Jokic in the series, the man is averaging 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 8.5 assists, 1.5 steals. So the numbers are on par with what he does. The problem is he's shooting 42% from the field and 20% from three. I'm not even gonna get into Jamal. Well, I will get into Jamal. He's averaging 12, 7 rebounds, but he's shooting 28% from the field. Okay. The Wolves' defensive rating, a 99.2. Their entire starting lineup, the worst defensive rating is Jaden McDaniels, 103. That's how lethal they are on defense. Like nothing is getting through. Like nothing. Like they're not even at 100 as a team. It's ridiculous, man. Then you add in what they're doing offensively. Ant-Man averaging 35, but he's shooting 60% from the field, 36 from three-point range. Karl Towns, 23 points. He's shooting 64% from the field, 55% from three. Naz Reid, 48% from the field, 50% from three. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 46% from the field, 41% from three. Mike Conley, 53% from the field, 50% from three. I can keep going on and on. Jaden McDaniels is shooting 14%. The man is literally 2 for 14 in the series. And I think somebody said his plus minus is like and 50 or something like that.
They said it's a 56.
56 or whatever for what he's doing defensively. When I say this is a thorough ass whooping, this is Ollie Ernie Terrell. This is that's what it's meant. Like, what's my name, bro? Just I'm not even gonna knock you out, bro, because you disrespected. I'm gonna just whoop your ass the whole fucking fight. You getting your ass whooped. I'm gonna embarrass you. That's what this meant. And I'm loving it because they're doing it against the champs. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from them, and to a lesser extent New York, because they're establishing order in basketball again. Like the nerds and the metric guys try to really switch this whole thing up. Shoot threes. Guys are too skilled. It's impossible to cover this much ground and defend guys. And not only are the Wolves doing it, they're laughing doing it. They're enjoying it. The kid Alexander Walker was laughing at Jamal like, "What you getting mad for, bro?" It's inevitable, bro. Just be a man. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Bosh, when Kobe dropped the 81, he just said, "Sometimes you just gotta be a man and take the ass with me, bro. Just take the ass with me like a man. Just take the ass with you. You throwing hot pack. You throwing packs on the floor where niggas get slipped at the refs and stuff like that. And one, Mark Davis is the wrong ref to step to. because he's down to fight you. He really is. I just saw somebody put up a clip where he said back in the day, Allen Iverson was complaining about the call. And he said, "I'll fuck your little ass up." It's a fucking like he really went there. He said, "I'll beat your little ass, man." Like, and you saw when Mike Malone got it, he was barking back. Like, you better get the fuck out. Like, their whole team has lost their composure, and that's what great defenses does. They remind me of the 90s Dynasty Bulls with Jordan and Pippen, Horace Grant, the boys, just Ron Harper. They're just flying around causing havoc. And a lot of people take that shit for granted because it's very few teams that have been able to do it throughout history at that level. And it goes to show you these guys aren't that skilled as people hype them up to be. They just haven't really been facing any strong defense. And now that you have that going on, you it's not even just this series. Look what they did to KD, Bill, and Booker. See, we thought it was just them. Oh, y'all ain't got no point guard. Y'all tripping. But really, the Wolves been doing this all year. And now you see it happen to the champs, and it's like, hold on. This one. In their building, it's like, hold on. This is real. So forget Cancun and Galveston. They can't even go to Red Rocks in Denver. Like, they that's how bad they get. Like, you need to just stay at the crib or stay in the gym. So, yeah, game 3. Reggie Jackson said it best, bro. He just like, we can't lose the game and the fight, though. Like, we losing everything right now. So game 3 is going to be interesting. But at the same time, when you look at it, it's just like Gobert is going to be back. And it's at their crib. I just don't see, like, what are y'all going to do unless y'all just shoot lights out, which is highly unlikely against that defense. What chance do you have to really pulling that out? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, sometimes you just see I just can't see it, bro, unless it's a hell of a collapse or Jokic elevate his game to a level. Because look, Jamal Murray ain't getting off. I'm just keeping it real, bro. They on his ass. He's on Rikers, bro, by himself. It's just bad. It's bad right now. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at their bench. They miss Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. Them young boys ain't ready. They're not ready for this. You need vets, man. And you know, it's just beautiful to see, man. It's beautiful to see that, yeah, good all-around basketball is warranted. It shouldn't be just offensive base in a certain type of offensive base type system where that matters most. It should be about both ends really mattering. And the thing is, the Wolves defense feeds their offense. It's not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why they got out to that big lead last night, they was turning them boys over and they were scoring at will. And then once you see a few go in easy with the weapons they have, the rim look like an ocean, bro. It's all right, let's just do what we do. And once they got to complaining, the head coach complaining and all that stuff, the stars complaining and stuff like that, it was a wrap, man. You just saw it, man. So I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. I'm loving that people are starting to understand what real defense is. I think it's safe to say all that more skill bullshit that's forever dead. Y'all been fooled. It's okay. You know, we know better. But I think teams going to have to start really learning how to build teams again. And what that means is stop relying on a roster full of skill guys. Then when you run into some wolves, they don't know how to fight back. They more worried about hitting threes and stuff. They not going in there like Josh Hart getting 12 rebounds a game or whatnot. They're not defending multiple positions. They not getting on the ground for loose balls because they so focused on doing what they do. That's what you brought them there for skill. Teams going to have to start building real teams. You're going to have to get intangible guys. You're going to have to get guys with certain roles that come in and deliver a specific need to help your team win. That's what building a team is all about. Again, Jaden McDaniels is 2 for fucking 14, and no one gives a shit because his defense has been so outstanding. It's like, fuck that offense, man. You don't even need to shoot no more. Just keep doing what you're doing defensively. That's what people are saying. When the last time have you seen that from the talk show hosts, the analysts and stuff like that, from a starter? Normally, they would crucify that man. If D'Angelo Russell shot 2 for 14, what would they be saying? You know what they would be saying.
He'd have to be in witness protection in LA. Just to be honest, because it's already his fault. And then you shoot 2 for 14, he's not afforded such a luxury.
Hey, look what's going on in Philly with Tobias Harris. He's shooting bad and all that. But when you strap like that boy strapping, I'm locking up my man, and I'm taking pride in going to help lock up another man. Then get back to my man and block shot. Come on, bro. You gotta respect that because it's hard work and it's when it happens. You can't hate on that. That's why defense should be primary at any level for any team. If you give me that, I know you're willing to compete. I know you're about winning because it's a selfless act. Then we can get to the offensive side of the thing because I trust you. But when you come in here, you all about the offensive side and you playing Olay defense, I can't mess with you, bro. Now, go play somewhere else, man. Because you're going to give them more than you get. And we're going to lose. So it's special to see, man. I'm loving them and having fun. And we're going to see if the young fellas in Minnesota are really in kill mode because I believe they win game 3 this week.
Yeah. And as Octavia, you alluded to, game 2 is the one the Nuggets needed for sure. Heading back to Minnesota. All the pressure's on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you left your building with your advantages, with the altitude or whatever, and you look. It looked like the Wolves were prepared to play on Mars. Like they were out there. They were unbothered by any of that elevation, anything. But by the time we talk to y'all next week, I mean, I can't wait to see what this looks like because, you know, this screen continues to shrink, you know, every time we put this up each week. So thank you all for tuning in. And again, want to thank Coach Ricky Harris for stopping by tonight. We truly appreciated that time with him. Don't forget to follow us throughout the week on the Focus TV on our social media mediums. And again, Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. It's that simple, man. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a great week.